Zack Polanski is being stuck in front of our eyes at every opportunity. Like a cross between Owen Jones and Brian Cox, the TV physicist, the former actor and hypnotist spreads his simple-minded far-left slop across the airwaves and alternative media. Taking up the recent trend for politicians delivering straight-to-camera videos where they wander the streets or corridors, Polanski delivers with rather more aplomb than the Darren Joneses and Mike Tapps of this world. However, it's mostly mawkish videos appealing to our common humanity while attacking the rich, British heritage and the nation-state. Note that's the super rich, because on his £66,000 salary from the London Assembly, old Zack is hardly a poor man. The big idea is the so-called wealth tax, whereby if you own £10 million, the state will take 1% of your total assets each year. If you have £1 billion, the state will take 2% of total assets. This would presumably be on top of the current high-level income tax of 45%. Meaning you get clobbered twice. Polanski also wants capital gains tax upped, and probably supports the massive inheritance tax that's become popular among celebrity leftists. He considers such income unearned wealth. Combined, this will be a huge imposition on the very people we need to invest, produce things, and employ people. Not all the super rich are so productive, of course, but this will punish those that are. Critics predict that many would simply leave the country, taking their assets elsewhere where Comrade Zack couldn't reach them. Defenders of the policy say that the super-rich can afford it. It's only 1 or 2% of their assets, and those with the biggest shoulders bear the biggest responsibility. Society has seen fit to give these folk a privileged life, they will say, and these rich bastards have to repay that. If appealing to the altruism and civic duty of the wealthy doesn't work, the good old threat of prison time will suffice. Neither will Zack's tax, feel free to use that, be confined to the super rich. Nobody believes tax and spend would not increase with the Greens across the board, affecting people of all incomes. All that nationalisation he wants won't pay for itself after all. Polanski does not, as Reform do, advocate a rise in the lower income tax threshold, meaning those in the lower bracket will not pay it. The idea of this is to allow those people to spend more capital and increase growth, as well as create tax revenue from the businesses they patronise, and the extra workers those businesses will potentially employ. Poorer people keeping their own money and partaking in capitalism, we can't have that. His reasoning is that once we get a better quality of public service, stop laughing at the back, then it will be labelled a patriotic duty to pay tax, and yes, everyone will have to pay for that. The second most prominent policy is similar red meat to the faithful. At their excitable conference, the Greens voted to abolish landlords, which has now become a slogan used at every opportunity. So nakedly populist is this, you may as well say abolish bank managers or abolish lawyers. Met with pushback, the Greens have said the slogan does not reflect the mundane reality of the policy. So why use it, one might ask? To get attention and start a debate, the cranky ginger guy who put forward the motion will declare. This is the same logic Just Stop Oil use for vandalising an old master or gluing their faces to a runway. The policy, the Greens continue, involves more practical steps to make private landlordism less appealing, with a view to ending the practice entirely. This puts a lie to their claim abolish landlords is not the intention. It's the eventual aim. Death by 1,000 cuts. And the question then is why? What is their problem with individuals renting out their property and other individuals paying for the service? Their objections, of course, are intellectualized by invoking Marx. To Marxists, the landlord is the embodiment of capitalism, a parasite that leeches off the labour of the worker. They are just as much a target as the factory owner or the chief executive of a bank. The furious young people driving the Greens will say that a landlord does not do anything productive and is using their capital advantage to extract the capital from those less fortunate. They are hoarding property during a housing shortage, keeping the prices high. Everyone has a human right to housing, which is being flouted by these greedy crooks. That's the rationale, flawed though it is, but at the root of this is resentment. The disgruntled low earners attracted to the Greens do not like having to pay for stuff. Why shouldn't their labour in a coffee shop, lots of them seem to be baristas, be worth as much, or indeed far more, than the earnings of a landlord? The system owes them and should not be skewed to those who have more, and those who pay more tax. The phrase unearned wealth also applies to landlords, as if they don't invest any time, capital or energy in providing their useful service, as if they don't risk anything, including damage caused by tenants. It doesn't matter that some landlords are good, or indeed that some people want to rent property privately and not be in low-quality council housing. Nope, just throw reason to the wind and abolish the lot. More reasonably, the disgruntled 20-somethings will point out they are unable to save for their futures because rent, travel, energy, food and everything else is costing so much. They have a point here, which many conservatives will agree with. The young, and indeed the middle-aged, are severely disadvantaged compared to previous generations in this respect. I feel their pain. Everyone from Generation X onwards has struggled, getting worse the younger you are, through millennials and Gen Z. But this doesn't mean you have to rail against the free market and private property rights. You do not have to become Lenin for the TikTok age.